Okay. Now they consider the other person. What yeah, we just dey get problem. Where we dey always get problem.
This knock here. The knock here, see that like.
As he just get up now, maybe he don prepare finish now. Na problem o. Na you dey wait for. Like say me and I agree say yesterday before say we dey go somewhere.
No, take her easy. If you don't get person finish, you will understand.
If to say na something when we agree say okay tomorrow we dey go so place or so time we go comot o, you understand? I go understand. I know say okay see I agree so thing with you. You know see the way this person dey do you.
Na the entrance be that.
You just dey use this one like this, he go come put everything like this.
Mm.
Na wetin dey then later when the match just start, he go come put that ball movement, this thing like this go come dey the back. You no dey consider other person o. Na where me and where our problem take dey start be that. Every week na the same thing, every time na the same thing. Then the day wey be like say you get mind say okay o, see o, okay I don know say like say dey be every week. That day now e go come be say no wan go anywhere. See all this one wey dem don do the match video now.
Hello guys, so we have
I know say as e dey down there, body dey prepare. I
I
know you need to wait because things dey go, the things dey fall bad, now because of all these things. And I no fit dey do anything. I know the day when I go get match when I wan do streaming, I wan do anything. Na that day one thing dey always dey come up. I don tire. I understand today na weekend, but before you organize something, na you and person dey, no be you and your pikin. If to say you tell me that before, I for don prepare things. No be say I wake up this morning, you tell me say the next 30 minutes we dey comot. Who does that? Who does that? So you got to wait. Me myself, I get my own program of the day. I get things when I wan do. Na wetin dey there be that. You tell me that say see we wan go here, I go know. Maybe this morning I go wake up early and start to dey prepare things. Because it things if you never quarrel, if you never quarrel, our body no dey reach well.
Children not easy to separate them. On the YouTube, why I won't even put first when I don't get close. Because if you don't hold, you don't see Rogan almost 60 years. Okay, YouTube you see the all 60 something years or say YouTube they do that one thing work when you do work.
No, I go work this work till I die now. Then if you come as now, they will say me you go slow. When you say you don't tire, they will say now only you dey work.
So
now this.
I mean you want put effort because if first you don't hold, you know if you want the strong work, they know they see medicine for now. It all depends on the woman. The woman don't give her money, not go get money for her because you don't go 60 years. You know who wants some hard work.
Okay. Now this thing I know say not go dey work well. I say now this thing I say not go dey work well. Not just the support matter, just the one business stress. Okay. One person vessel. No for this one. Oui, oui, mi senti? Sì, io ti sento. E sto mettendo i hashtag così vi va tutto, perché non credo che il tempo della partita saremo già a casa, quindi... per le 5, se non mi sbaglio. Quindi sta lì a bar. Ok, ho fatto, se questo ragazzo di rosa mi si copia, l'ho fatto. Ok. She not know say she get mental disturb for that toys every week. If money not dey hand, I make you never buy anything this week. If money dey hand, if I don buy something every week, if you come out with the pikin like this, you go buy her something. If you come out with the pikin, you go buy her something. So I tell her say she get mental disturb. If she feel say I dey lie. The week wey be like say those boys dey no work, I go tell her say okay o, the boys dey no work o, make I do something o. Na there we go get issue. Abeg, you no get how you go do am wey be like say if you wan do something, no dey consider whether the other person get this person ma even answer whether e get appointment or e get anything wey e wan do. E no dey dey o. As far as say e don talk. Dat time when I no wan accept this money work, e say make I accept am, anything at all e go dey support me for the YouTube. Since I accept am, one day sef e never use am. E get some kind things when I say okay o, help me look this thing, help me look this thing, e no dey ever do am. I no get chance. I comot with my friends. So the thing at the beginning, the thing dey vex me. I come stop. I no come just dey put mind again. If you do, fine. If you no do, I no come dey able dey answer anything again. Because I know say if I answer you, we go go quarrel. So what is the use? What is the need? So no need for me to answer you all those things. Answer you now for us to go quarrel.
Hello? You don't come out. Hello? You don't come out. Brenda. Okay. Now, you know, say now your brother house, they wash, they clean house, they come out before. Now, if you write me, I not pick immediately. Your clean finish. Okay, now. If you don't true, other service no dey. I go enter now. Now I just clean finish so now. When you don't true, you feel write me. Bye.
Brendan, Sard, Anton, Ash. We have Dio in the house looking slick, my bro. We got Steph and we got Dan with us, the realist doing up, aka negative. So welcome, Jeff. I'm smart, bro. You're very smart, Dio.
Thank you.
I can hear someone's TV in the background. There we go. Brandon, what are you saying, bro? You were on mute, Charles. There we go.
So, yeah, disappointed. I feel like we were the creators of our own downfall today. I think when you analyse the result, I think it's a fair result. I think it's a fair result for us, fair result for Sunderland. I can't look past that first half, Tel. I genuinely don't feel like we did anywhere near enough in that first half. And unfortunately, when you're playing Premier League football, no matter who you're against, you cannot allow a full half of football to just pass you by. You can't. You know, it was so poor in that first half, not moving the ball quick enough. In some aspects, we did look like a little bit of like a deer in the headlights, like we wasn't sure on what Sunderland were going to do.
Frank, I appreciate your time today. I know it has been really weeks now, almost a couple of months, of a lot of intensity, a lot of conversation, a lot of mourning, a lot of difficulty. You know, you have spent so much of your career and your time answering difficult faith questions, and I thought and prayed a lot for you and about you during this time. And I guess I'll start with this. How have you made sense of the past almost 2 months?
Well, I made sense of it by knowing that what happened was evil, and the only way I know that was evil was because I know what is good, and the only reason I know what was good is because there's a standard of good outside myself, and that's God's nature. So as soon as we see something evil, we know it's evil. But the only way we would know that is if we knew what the standard of good was, because evil is a lack of good thing. It's a privation of a good thing. So an evil event like this doesn't disprove God. It may prove there's a devil out there, but it doesn't disprove God, because you wouldn't even know what evil was unless there was a standard of good, and you wouldn't know what good was unless God existed. So it's actually an argument for God, not an argument against God.
Yeah, that's interesting, because a lot of people, they go through difficult moments, and you know this, they struggle. That's why people come to you with so many of the questions that they have. And being there at that event with Charlie Kirk that day, you also had to deal with a lot of other things. The insane conspiracy theories, and of course it turned out to be you. That you were there, and you're there, supporting your friend Charlie as he's speaking. What was that part of this like? Because just watching that, it was so horrifying to think that somebody just gets an idea from a clip and they run with it, and it becomes a narrative.
Well, first of all, I didn't even know about it for the first 36 hours, because we were in our own little bubble with the family, and at the hotel, and with JD Vance and Air Force 2 and all that. We weren't even aware of all of that chatter going on. I just find it incredibly stupid that anyone would think anyone would need to signal a shooter about anything. If you're looking through a high-powered rifle from 200 yards, you couldn't even see somebody 25 feet to Charlie's right. And why would you need a signal? You know who Charlie Kirk is. He's the one under the tent with the microphone. Where have people come up with these inane ideas, and as if there's some insight into a crime? They don't think it through. There's no reason to signal anything. Not only that, I had just gotten that hat. Somebody had given me that hat. It was a Trump 47 hat. I didn't go there with a hat. Somebody just handed it to me, because Charlie and I were flipping hats into the audience, and somebody said, "Hey, you want a hat?" I said, "Yeah, it's kind of sunny. Why don't I take a hat?" So I was just adjusting the hat, as if I'm signaling somebody to steal second base. People think, what kind of sense does any of this make? It makes no sense at all.
Well, it's about people, I think, having some sort of ability or power in their own mind to solve something, and I think, honestly, if you look at the culture, the true crime obsession, the social media obsession, it's actually really troubling that this is the place that we're at now, right? That everybody has to be an expert and solve every single thing, when real people are dealing with real emotional issues and horrific events that they've had to watch and process. So I was curious about that, just because watching that was very difficult from the outside. I can't imagine what it's been like to, even broader than that. How do you make sense as a Christian watching other Christians spread conspiracy theories and like what you were saying, but other things? I'm not even going to get into the specifics of it. What has that been like for you to watch and experience?
Well, you're probably talking about Candace Owens. And, I have not followed Candace Owens closely. I know she was a good friend of Charlie years ago. In fact, when I first met Charlie, I said, tell me a little about your ministry, what you do, and who have you mentored. And he mentioned Candace Owens. And Charlie would never speak ill of anybody privately, unless he spoke to that person first and tried to correct things. So Charlie never said anything bad about Candace or anything. But I just find this idea that she's making all these suggestions without evidence very painful for people. It's okay to suggest, maybe this, maybe that, but as soon as you start launching accusations, TPUSA betrayed, betrayed Charlie. I had a dream that Charlie told me this. That's not evidence. Maybe she's right. It could be. Anything's possible, but not everything has evidence behind them. And what people don't seem to understand, and this is why I had my friend Detective J. Warner Wallace on my podcast 2 weeks after Charlie's martyrdom. People don't understand how prosecution works. how murder cases work. The prosecution rarely tells you anything they have, much less everything they have. As Detective Wallace pointed out, the prosecution's job is to get a conviction at trial. The prosecution's job is not to quell every internet rumor. They can't do that. They'd be jeopardizing their case, and they'd be jeopardizing a jury if they jumped in on every possible rumor that was going around. They base their prosecution on evidence. And the conspiracy theory about me, okay, they looked at it because they asked me a question. The FBI called me up and asked me a question. So I said, it's nonsense. That was it. And the reason they have to do that in a trial is because a defense attorney is going to say, well, did you check into this? And did you check into that? And so then the prosecution would say, yeah, we checked into it. It went nowhere. That's not what happened. Now, it's fine for Candace to say, well, look at this and look at that. And this could be true and that could be true. But as soon as you cross the line and start saying so-and-so's guilty or suggesting strongly so-and-so's guilty, when you don't have the evidence, that's causing dissension among the brothers. And that's something the Lord hates. There's people who have enough pain in their lives. You don't need to add pain when people are going through this. And apparently she said that I was the only one who was genuine in his book. I haven't watched everything. I've just been told about it. Who has the time to watch everything? Nobody.
Right, exactly.
But she said I was the only genuine. Mine was the only genuine reaction. Billy, you know this. Reasonable people know this. That a psychologist, even with somebody on the couch in front of them, can't completely diagnose people accurately all the time. You don't diagnose people from video, very fragmentary video, and tell them or make a judgment and say, oh, this person didn't act normally. There is no normal behavior
in a situation like that. In a situation like that, of course. I mean, there absolutely.
There is no normal behavior. It's when you have an abnormal event like that none of us have experienced. Nobody knows how they're going to react. But Candace Owens is well within her rights to suggest certain things and all this, and she has the right to free speech and all that. That's fine. She's right to ask questions. I just think it is hurtful and not helpful when you cross a line to strongly suggest somebody's guilty of something for which you have no evidence.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a possibility and evidence, and I see this all the time in Christian apologetics. People will say, well, maybe this happened to Jesus' body, or that happened to Jesus' body, and that's how you explain what the resurrection is. It really wasn't a resurrection. Those are all possible, but give me first century evidence for those possibilities. Oh, we don't have any. Okay, well, it's just a possibility then. Possibilities are not evidence. You need evidence, and that's what the prosecution is working on. Who knows, when the prosecution goes through everything, maybe some of the things Candace said are right. I have no idea. I can tell you for certain, as far as I know, there was no shot that came from behind me. If there was a shot that came from behind me, I would have known it because I was really close. It's 25 feet from Charlie off his right elbow. If a shot came from that side, I would have heard it a lot louder than I did.
You know, let me ask you this, and I know it's painful to ponder it, but I do want to go back to it because you've beautifully spoken about so many things that are difficult to talk about in the last few weeks even. What was going through your heart and your mind as you were there at that event in those moments when you realized what was happening?
Well, I was FaceTiming my son and daughter-in-law. My daughter-in-law said the first thing you said was no, no, no. Because I had the phone on, and I took a step toward Charlie, but his team was already there. And then I ducked because I thought, well, maybe there's more shots coming. And within a second, they were 2 seconds. I don't know how long it was, very short. I mean, they were carrying him out of there. So
and it's a big deal for me as a fan to come and take accountability for all the things that I've said. And I really just appreciate you embracing me with open arms and allowing me
Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe it. Can you believe it? Because I can't believe it. Kanye West has made a public apology to the Jewish people. And it wasn't just an apology. He went to one of the biggest rabbis in the world, Rabbi Pinto in France. He went to him to go and apologize on the behalf. Now, maybe he got it from LeBron, because if anybody knows Rabbi Pinto, you may be familiar with this picture of him and LeBron James. Okay? So I don't know if Kanye called him. I don't know how it actually happened, but I know that Kanye came out. He looks like he's medicated or something. But I just want to go back to the only person that we all know who name drops, who quite possibly, I would say, Candace Owens actually praises Kanye West more than God himself. More than God himself. But just for context, ladies and gentlemen, Kanye West has not been nice, and I would say that you can arguably say that a lot of this anti-Semitism right now that we are seeing, you could arguably say that not only did it spark Candace, but you could say that Kanye West himself was the person who actually started this uprising in anti-Semitism. I mean, if anybody's been paying attention, they know for sure that Kanye's been one of the most vocal people, against Jews, releasing his most recent single, one of his most recent singles called "Hail Hitler." And after all of that, he comes finally to Ralph Pinto and apologizes. I can't wait to hear what Candace had to say, but we do know what she did say. The one man that she praises more than God himself, Kanye West. Wow. I mean, wow.
Of course, some people walk so I could run. I can think of no person who walks further than Kanye West. My dear friend. I absolutely love you, Kanye. I'm going to tell you one thing. The conversation is very different than it was 2 years ago when Kanye West won this award, and he did not accept it. I don't know where he was. He's somewhere in Tokyo now. I bumped into him a couple of months ago. But I do want to borrow from his Grammy acceptance speech because it's incredibly relatable, and it is exactly how I am feeling right now. Take a listen.
Everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know. And it's so awesome to see that, Candace is now wanting to, mimic and say the same things as Kanye West, as she has over the years. But I think that right now, we should give her the words to say. Since she praises and she's so beholden of Kanye West, which, by the way, this all started with the DEFCON 3 tweet against Jews, and Candace on the Daily Wire platform, I'm talking about almost immediately, seconds later, already using the Daily Wire platform to defend Kanye and say what you heard was not anti-Semitism, right? So that same Candace should pay attention to what Kanye had to say today.
Sit here with you today and just take accountability. I was dealing with some various issues, dealing with bipolar also. So it would take the ideas I had and have me take it to an extreme where I would forget about the protection of people around me and myself. So I wanted to come and take accountability. Sometimes when people aren't that knowledgeable about the bipolar and the cause or what causes it and the way you act when you have this disease. So it's like if you left the house, you left your kid at the house, and your kid went and messed up the kitchen, messed up the garage, messed up the living room. Now when you get back, it's your responsibility because that's your job. That's the way I look at it. Like, I gotta go clean up the kitchen, I gotta clean up the living room, I gotta clean up the garage.
And the truth of it is that he does. Like I said, there's probably nobody more responsible for this uptick in anti-Semitism than Kanye West, who has a massive platform, what's much bigger than Candace, a complete icon in music over the last 2 decades almost. And And for him to do what he did, and now he's making a public, and now, I have what to say. I'll say it afterwards. I would never, try to, make light of his apology. And he has shown that he's not been healthy multiple times. So whether he's this way or that way, you never know when to take him serious. And I'm not going to overdo that. But at the same time, I would never try to make light of an apology that he's doing this. Quite honestly, he may need to do more than this, but it's just, this is mind-boggling where we are today, and for him to make this apology. Let's finish watching.
Yeah, and it's a big deal for me as a man to come to take accountability for all the things that I've said, and I really just appreciate you embracing me with open arms and allowing me to make amends. And this is the beginning of the first steps and the first brick by brick to build back the strong walls.
Judaism brought to the world a way for someone when he regret about something that he had done wrong. And the Jews live on this way of if someone did something wrong, he can regret and fix it. The rabbi is and from now on, strong things and good things, only good.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm like almost tearing up a little bit. Like I said, it's Kanye, so in all actuality, we really have to be careful because it's Kanye. And I think what he's saying is true. What Kanye has been, unfortunately, when he was on the left, everybody on the right called him crazy. The moment he joined the right, everybody wanted to hide that he was crazy and not say that, Candace, you're just saying that he's crazy. The man is for sure not been healthy. Everybody has known that he's not been healthy. However, the fact that he came to apologize is huge. Listen, I'm sorry to stop the show for a second. I just want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Market Ding. Look, in today's world, people can't find it online, that you don't exist. That's where Market Ding comes in. They're a digital marketing and SEO company that used to dominate healthcare, but now they dominate just about everything. Whether you're running a business, a brand, or even a podcast like mine, Market Ding knows how to get you found fast. So don't just show up online, grow online. So visit marketding.com today and watch your growth online explode. Okay, back to the show. This is massive. This is huge. And I wonder what this would do. I don't know what type of effect that is going to have, especially when we are in the midst of what seems to be brewing as a war on the right, and Jews obviously being in the center of it, which by and large was, Kanye had a lot to do with this. Kanye had a lot to do with it. But you know what? I'm not going to be the person to say this, and I really hope to God. I'm going to say this at least. I hope to God, honestly, with all of my heart, that this is real, and I hope that this has an effect on the world. I don't know what brought him to this point. I don't know what made him get there. I don't know who did it. I'm sure Candace will give us a lot of conspiracies for why it happened. But until that time happens, I think what we should do this. We should start taking Candace at her own words, because I want you all to remember when she said this.
Everything that Kanye said was so real. Okay? I'm now at that point where we look back and we go, man, Kanye was right. He was really saying something about what it takes to leave.
What it takes to lead the anti-Semitism, I should say. What it takes to lead, such a deranged mind. I think this was a blessing. I pray genuinely for Kanye that he is able to continue in this repentance and to be able to fix the wrongs that he did. And may we all take a lesson from this. This is huge. To be able to right our wrongs in a major way, to be able to right our wrongs and to do it in a way that is going to have an everlasting effect. Wow. Candace was so right. And one time she's right. And she says, Kanye is right. You guys know me. I just had to do this. I was on my way to bed. I had to talk about this. But you know me. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Did you think this video was AI? I thought it was AI. It took me forever. I was over here.
In just the first 7 months of 2025, over 7,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria. That breaks down to nearly 35 believers being slaughtered per day. And another 7,800 Christians were abducted during that same time. Now, though these are
the Nigerian government likes to lie to itself. And they also like to pretend that things are better than they actually are. And by doing so, if the Nigerian government says it doesn't exist, well, then the rest of the world says it doesn't exist. And that means Nigeria looks better on paper.
Hello guys, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Nessie. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all, depending on where you are watching from. Hope you all are doing well, and thank you so much for stopping by. So, a UK investigative journalist has just done what many Nigerian journalists will not dare to do. This man put his own life on the line just to investigate and tell the world what is happening in Nigeria. And according to him, he is collaborating with those who are also willing to risk their life just to tell the truth. So according to him, he has planted many people in different places in Nigeria. I listened to this man's interview of almost 1 hour. I shed tears because I could see a man who is traumatized by what he has seen and heard about Nigeria. This man boldly said in an international media that the Nigerian government is complicit in the genocide happening in Nigeria. This man exposed how useless the Nigerian media is and how journalists in Nigeria collect money from the government just to report what they want the people to hear. Now I'm going to let you guys watch the video. This video is not comfortable to watch, and it shouldn't be, because it forces us to ask the question that no one is willing to answer. Like, how many people will have to die before the world will stop pretending not to see? Nigeria have journalists, brilliant one for that matter, but they are trapped by fear, by law that criminalize dissent, and by media houses owned by political interests. So speaking the truth in Nigeria may cost you your job or your life. That is why outsider have to step in to investigate what is happening in Nigeria and expose it to the world. I'm going to let you guys watch this video. It is a very long interview. I just extracted some of the important parts so you can watch and hear things for yourself.
Question of why does the Nigerian government not acknowledge the existence of these people?
There's a few different reasons. One of the main reasons is the Nigerian government likes to lie to itself. And they also like to pretend that things are better than they actually are. And by doing so, if the Nigerian government says it doesn't exist, well, then the rest of the world says it doesn't exist. And that means Nigeria looks better on paper, for whatever reason. And it's like a dog and pony show that the Nigerian government likes to play.
Well, if you admit to the world that Christians are being systematically and intentionally massacred on your watch and cleansed from the land as they are being, then you have to do something about it. The world expects you to do something about it.
Well, then you're supposed to do something about it. So there's the other part of this, is that, yes, the Nigerian government is complicit, especially in the last 8 years with 2 Muslim presidents in a row, where they have turned a blind eye to the killings and have done nothing to stop them.
Well, when they actually know that killings are going to happen and they don't intervene.
Yes, and that's one of the things. So as part of our organization, we created Truth Nigeria, a outlet for journalists in Nigeria to tell the truth, because the Nigerian government doesn't want this information getting out, and if the Nigerian government doesn't say the story's getting out, they're not reporting it. And so we want to give an outlet to Truth Nigeria. So part of that project is we've been able to get intelligence and issue terror alerts. And so in 2024, we issued over 64 terror alerts.
And you issue a terror alert when what is happening?
So when we issue a terror alert, the police are notified, military is notified, local government officials are notified, the villages are notified, and
they're notified of what?
That there's an impending attack coming to your area.
And how do you know that?
Intelligence.
From having your ear to the ground.
From having our ear to the ground. We have our organizations operating in villages all over Nigeria, and people talk, people know things. And we've told people, if you hear something, you hear something, see something, let us know.
Okay, so just so people understand, you have your organization, Equipping the Persecuted.
Yes.
And that does what exactly?
So Equipping the Persecuted was formed to be a boots-on-the-ground mission to respond to the attacks of persecuted Christians. So, to the best of our ability and the resources we have, we try to respond to an attack within 48 hours. With food, medicine, aid, anything we can do to help these people that have lost everything they had. And a lot of it, because when the villages are burned and razed to the ground, all the food supply is destroyed. They have no sleeping mats. They're just left with the clothes on their backs. And so the first thing they need is food. They need medicine. And then what became a big part of our mission is we now really help the wounded victims that are still surviving. So we pay for the medical costs of the surgeries. We send doctors in to treat the wounded, to help the kids that have machete wounds, bullet wounds. We try to patch them up and save as many lives as possible.
So you have that on the one side, and then you decided to invest in Truth Nigeria, which is an extraordinary journalism site.
Yes.
Anyone who follows me, you probably have seen it on my feed. I put your stories out and your work out because there really isn't. I mean, there's a couple of people. The great guy Tom Garber, and he has TG News. And
Yes.
he's worked, with the journalists of Truth Nigeria in the past.
Yes.
These guys are kind of all cut from the same cloth. They live and work in this extraordinarily violent and dangerous area where Christians are being hunted every single day, and yet they go out and they document the massacres and not just the killings, but the infrastructure and mechanism of the genocide.
Yeah.
Which involves, like you said, killing the food supply, right? So launching an attack right before the crops are about to be harvested.
Exactly.
And destroying everything.
Right. So it's one of the tactics that they use for terror is they'll wait till the farmers plant the crops, grow the crops, and right before harvest, they'll come in, kill the village, they'll destroy all the crops. I mean, it's a form of terror that is demoralizing because
you've got nothing left.
Because they have nothing left, and they worked hard all year long to raise these crops, and now they're completely destroyed.
Well, that's the thing that people don't realize, right? In America, you can just go to the store and get whatever you want all year round. Over there, these people, where they live, there is nothing. There is no industry or anything. The crops are how they survive. They sell that crop once a year, and they live off that money for the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year. So, if you don't mind me going into this for a second, let's talk about what real poverty looks like. Okay, a lot of Americans and Westerners have a very, very perverted view of what poverty is. And Nigeria poverty means if you have a good job in Nigeria, you make $100 a month. That's a good job in Nigeria, $100 a month. That means you're successful. $100 a month. Now, imagine all that being taken away from you. You don't have television, you don't have power, they don't have running water. But making $100 a month means you're providing really good for your family. And all that's gone. Now you have nothing left. That is the terror that these Muslim terrorists are inflicting on Nigerian Christians.
And also the terror of being asleep in your bed at night. And hearing the motorbikes, because these terrorists, they like to come in on motorbikes, and then they just massacre everything that moves.
Anything that moves, and the people that get killed most of the time are the ones that can't run fast enough, and that's the children and the elderly.
Pregnant moms.
The pregnant moms, the children, and the elderly. And that's one of the most heartbreaking things that I see is what kind of animal would hack up a little child to death with a machete. Why would you do that? Why would you shoot a mother who's pregnant? Why would you burn an elderly person alive? This is the kind of stuff we are dealing with every week in Nigeria, and it's silent.
Well, I know when I was reporting on this a few years ago, there was over around 100,000 people already killed in this genocide, Christians.
Yes.
And now it's much more than that. And all the journalists I talked to, in Truth Nigeria, they all say the numbers are going up. It's escalating.
Yeah, it's escalating. It's escalating more and more, and it's being downplayed more and more even by the Nigerian government. There's so many. If it weren't for Truth Nigeria, you wouldn't hear about 90% of the attacks.
100%.
If there weren't for Truth Nigeria, you wouldn't hear about it. And let me tell you, one of the reasons I started Truth Nigeria is just because of my background in being a filmmaker, being a person who has a quest for truth. I ran into our journalists like Masara Kim, like Lauren Sango, and Mike O'Day, and I saw guys who don't care. They're willing to risk it all. They're willing to risk their lives to bring people the truth. That's the kind of people we have at Truth Nigeria. They're willing to lay it all on the line. I'm like, if they're willing to lay it all on the line, I'm willing to support you. I'm willing to support these efforts to get the truth out. And why? Because at the end of the day, they're willing to risk their lives to save their country and to save their fellow Christians.
You know, the first time I interviewed Masara Kim, one of the things he said to me that I never forgot was, I said, Masara, you know, you're right there living in these villages. It's right in this area where they're killing Christians and you're exposing it. I said, you know, aren't you worried you're going to be killed? And he said, oh, Mom, he said, I am very lucky. Most of my friends are dead. And he said, I have already lived, you know, longer than the rest of them. And, you know, he was just basically telling me he was on borrowed time. And Lawrence Zongo told me, it's not a question of if, it's when. So it's not just about being brave. It's really continuing to do the right thing and expose the soul in a situation where you fully accept that what you're doing will result in your death at some point.
Right. And they're willing to risk their lives
to do it
anyway. And they're men after my own heart. And I said, anything we can do to help, anything we can do to get the word out, to let people know what's going on. And historically, we're documenting history.
You are documenting history. Very, very true, because really the world would have no idea. And that's in part because the media in Nigeria is pretty much like the media here in the US. They sit in the capital cities, like in Abuja, and they parrot the government narrative, and they don't go out and witness the killings. They're not in the villages. They have no idea what's going on, but they write with absolute confidence that it's fake news and conspiracy.
Let me walk you through how Nigeria news operates.
Okay.
It's one of the most silly things I've ever seen, and it's laughable, but it's also super depressing at the same time. So, in order to get a story out of Nigeria and get it in Nigerian news, a government official has to call a press conference. And when the government official calls a press conference, that means the journalist can then show up, because all the journalists are getting money from the government to cover the stories. So if said government official doesn't hold a press conference, the story never happened. That incident doesn't exist.
It's incredible. And you know, I have to say this because this will really, I think, help people understand what we're dealing with here. For years, the narrative of the Nigerian government has been parroted by the US government. And they have literally blamed the killings on climate change. I know it sounds incredible, climate change. And the reason they say that is because the people carrying out these attacks, the Fulani, who are mostly members of the Fulani tribe, which is a nomadic Islamic tribe, they say they're being forced to migrate because of climate change. And as they're moving south, because the north of Nigeria obviously is Muslim and the south is Christian predominantly, and so as they're moving south from the north of the country, they're going into these Christian areas, and that's where these clashes are happening.
Yeah, so let me explain this real fast for the average viewer.
You just have to take a moment and think about the absolute devastation and the goal of the United States Embassy, successive ambassadors, to literally pass this off as climate change. I don't think that there's a hell miserable enough for people like that.
Oh, they're going to be suffering eternal judgment for what they've done here on Earth and their complicity and willful ignorance. Let me explain how this works as far as the farmer-herder clash and then climate change, whatever you want to call it. I can assure you that when the Fulani ethnic militia, the Muslim terrorists, go into Christian villages, they're not coming in with cattle. They're coming in on motorcycles with AK-47s and killing everything that moves, and then destroying and razing the entire village.
And yelling Allahu Akbar while
yelling Allahu Akbar while doing it. And it has nothing to do with climate change. These are nomadic herders that have 500-year-old view of cattle farming, which just takes cattle and roams them wherever they want to roam them, regardless of whose property or land they're on. They have no idea what a ranch is. They have no idea what modern farming is or what modern cattle raising is. But the fact is they don't care. It's not about this. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with they are systematically taking over Nigeria, and they want to make Nigeria into a Muslim caliphate. Okay?
Well, and if you go back historically, people don't realize that the capital of the Muslim north of Nigeria, Sokoto, was actually the capital of the first caliphate outside, right? When Usman bin Fodio, the first caliph, established the caliphate. So that was one of the earliest jihads.
Right, it was one of the earliest jihads, but then the rest of the tribes people in Nigeria and the other tribes that said, hey, we don't want this, defeated them and shoved them back up north.
Yeah.
And then Nigeria was majority Christian.
Yes,
for a long time.
There were African religions, but the British obviously came and brought Christianity.
But when they brought Christianity, Nigeria was 70% Christian.
Amazing.
Now it's 50-50. It's 50% Muslim, 50% Christian.
Because they've been killing.
Because they have been going back to their systematic jihad. Now, look, Islam has conquered every civilization it's touched since 640 AD through three methods of jihad. One, cultural jihad. We'll move in, we'll blend in with the population as we're a minority. Then they start gaining a population, having lots of kids. Then once they get a population, they do political jihad. All right?
And cultural.
Then cultural jihad. Then after political jihad, once they have the political cover to do the violence, they go into violent jihad and take over territory. And that is how they have systematically taken over all of northern Africa.
Across the border, right? I mean, throughout the center and east of Africa and west.
And for some magical reason, every country they touch turns into war.
Yes, and when you
turns into genocide and turns into war. Every country that they touch ends up turning into genocide and war.
So in many ways, it's a power grab for the Fulani under the black flag of Al Qaeda and Islamic Jihad and the authority of God, right?
Under the authority of God.
And the U.S. helps them.
The U.S. helps them, and
by blaming it on climate change.
By blaming it on climate change or turning a blind eye to doing it, and
putting a band-aid on a little bit of the humanitarian needs, but not fundamentally changing anything.
And say they're helping. So I want to go back to Mahanga. I'm going to tell you something you probably don't know. But in Mahanga, right, the place where they're launching attacks from,
that village,
the Norwegians have just been building new houses for terrorists.
The Norwegian Refugee Council?
Yeah, the Norwegian government has been building new houses for people in Mahanga. They're building terrorist new houses in Mahanga as we speak.
The same village where not a single Christian has been allowed to set foot since that first massacre.
Yeah, if you go near it, you get killed.
Yes, I mean, I know because when I was reporting on this story, doing this documentary film for Fox Nation, one of the things, Masara Kim, I asked him if he could go back to Mahanga, because we talked a lot about that and its importance in the origin of the genocide, and he was like, I can't get into the village because no Christian will just be murdered. But what we agreed on is that he would get as close as he could, and he would launch a drone, because I wanted to show people that, how it was geographically positioned to be the command and control, and we did that. One of the ways I began to understand that there was an organization. You see these images of the bodies everywhere, and people screaming, and babies that have been killed, and awful videos that I've seen of young pregnant Nigerian girl, Christian girl being beheaded while they cut her baby out at the same time. I mean, I've seen unbelievable things out of there, and when you realize Norwegian refugee camps.
Yeah, the Norwegian government has been building new houses and for people in Mahanga. They're building terrorist new houses in Mahanga as we speak.
The same village where not a single Christian has been allowed to set foot
if you go near
since that first massacre.
Yeah, if you go near it, you get killed.
Yes, I mean, I know, because when I was reporting on this story, doing this documentary film for Fox Nation, one of the things, Masara Kim, I asked him if he could go back to Mahanga, because we talked a lot about that and its importance in the origin of the genocide, and he was like, I can't get into the village because no Christian will just be murdered. But what we agreed on is that he would get as close as he could, and he would launch a drone, because I wanted to show people that how it was geographically positioned to be the command and control, and we did that. One of the ways I began to understand that there was an organization. You see these images of the bodies everywhere, and people screaming, and babies that have been killed, and awful videos that I've seen of young pregnant Nigerian girl, Christian girl being beheaded while they cut her baby out at the same time. I mean, I've seen unbelievable things out of there, and when you realize it's not chaotic, actually, it looks chaotic. It's designed to look chaotic, but when you are removing the food supply, not just for a month or a few months, but for the annual food supply, when you are taking away people's ability to stay on the land, when you're burning down not just their crops but their homes, and then you don't allow them to come back, and you're trying to instill terror in them, because let's not forget, Nigeria doesn't have the Second Amendment, so most of these people, the vast majority for 20 plus years, have been unarmed, and many of them asleep, right?
Oh, Nigeria doesn't have a Second Amendment. They have no Second Amendment. Citizens are not allowed to protect themselves. And so when Nigerian Christians try to protect themselves, a lot of the time, the Nigerian government goes and disarms them, and a week later, they get killed by these Fulani Muslim terrorists with AK-47s and what the Nigerians refer to as sophisticated weapons, military-grade weapons, 50 caliber machine guns. So for some reason, Nigeria doesn't have a Second Amendment, but the terrorists can run around with military-grade weapons with no restriction whatsoever. But the minute Nigerians want to protect their own villages, protect their farms, they get disarmed by the Nigerian government.
He's not right here.
Murder them alive.
Johnny Slayer, your king betrayed you. Why do you fight for him?
My king, the Philistine courts is no more. I will have the sunset revenge.
Peter, I'm not so powerful. Of this. You are banished!
He will love you and bless you and increase your numbers. He will bless the fruit of your womb, the crops of your land, the calves of your herds, and the mounds of your fruits, in the land he swore to your ancestors to give you. Listen to my words. When there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will reveal myself to them in visions. I will speak to them in dreams. And in the towns of Judah and the streets shall deserted. There will be heard once more the sounds of joy, gladness, the voices of the bride and the bridegroom.
Take water, you are the boss. Go.
What is it?
An invitation. The giant slayer will wed the princess.
It is Michal.
A new dawn in Israel. Leave the weapons.
Unfortunately, the fires did not spread.
Fortune. All 5 grain silos till just a few days ago.
Our entire winter stock. Philistines.
We killed their giant, but apparently not their spirit. I'm not dealing with enough.
Increasing their assaults. Forging better weapons.
As are we. This is Achish. He is desperate for revenge.
Without that grain, we could fall into famine before the spring. I suggest we tax the other tribes. Demand a ration of their supplies. We start with Judah.
Not beg at anyone's feet. Or weakness. Hunger is the greater threat. Starving people will do anything.
What about Edom?
The alliance of peace between us and Edom is fragile. The king is a veteran, vindictive man. We have not spoken in 20 years. I fear stirring a hornet's nest.
I will negotiate with them.
And how do you intend to negotiate without losing your head?
Father,
This is one situation where my reckless and indulgent past may benefit us.
let's just say I once spent a memorable night in Edom with the king's process advisor. We are friends.
Of sorts.
Let me talk to him. moment with my father. No. Do not take up the cause of your mother with me. No, I must. Cannot punish her forever. Queen self-respect. What does a king deserve? Betrayal. How exactly has she betrayed you? David was never meant to return from the mission, was he? Philistines were waiting. This was your mother's doing. Perhaps now you understand my actions. David has proven himself. He is now worthy of this family. Sometimes I wonder if this family is worthy of him. What is this one? Wells in the north. They are not dig wells themselves. The money they have. What bothers you? Do you fear to speak to your king? No. I don't want to speak to my friend. I deeply believe in your soul. You know, as I live my life on that belief. Continue. I'm concerned. The sailors are enemies of them. Not the sailors nor our enemies. No one can bring down the house of Saul. But Saul himself. What good is a king against the whole world? Yet loses himself in the pursuit. Casting away a few. Bringing in a servant into your bed. Now she is my concubine. This is a king's right, not the king of Israel. Not you. I beg of you, Saul. Remember the man you love.
I think you won. Would you like some good news?
What kind of good news? No. Are you something?
I'm a healer, Jonathan, and a woman, so yes, I am certain. It's alright, I'm hungry.
Is anyone else? You were once enough. I will help teach you how to break horses and how to pick vegetables.
she's a girl?
That wouldn't say. We will live a peaceful and quiet life. In the village. But from war, conflict.
Sounds like quite a dream. Is it possible?
It's the promise on David said, yes. We only need to ensure a peaceful path. Ensure my family is safe. And truly, I won't touch this place.
And I ask only this. Would you say this? Until our child is born, and our lives are free and safe. Promise me.
Promise.
This path is a mikveh, a ritual immersion before marriage to honor this new beginning.
Spoke of living water from the earth.
Blessed are you, eternal God, ruler of the universe, who sanctifies us from its faith. Pour out your mercies of 3 times completely. Blessed is the eternal God of all creation, who blessed in his life.
God sustain thee, and have thee to reach this point.
I will betroth you to him
With righteousness,
in justice, with goodness, compassion. I will betroth you to him forever, and we will conjure him. You can't see me like this. Unless
sorry not to. I know what it's like to see a family fracture. Listen, we don't have to be your parents. Yes, certainly. We will build our own future. Don't you?
without sacrifice, betrayal, bloodshed.
It sounds ambitious.
I need to know that I have all of you. This is meant to take my mind off of the wedding. Do you want to go back to sulking in the palace?
Yes. At least there is wine. When we finished here, there will be fresh meat for the wedding feast. Have you done this with my brother?
Ashwell doesn't need my help.
You've truly come to love him, haven't you?
Love. He intrigues me, I intrigue him, and that is all that is required.
I never thought any man could tame you.
I'll never be tamed. Are you ready? Go.
Create it.
Come on, step away.
Come on. stroll to Liverpool if you must. Thank you for this gift. Let the blood return into the earth to you and I. Your father was a good killer. Death is never easy. Sacrifice brings new life. To accept this is how we move forward. To reduce the suffering. I need to take care of something. Enough!
Jesse, son of a bitch. Father, I'll take it. I owe you a great debt, Jesse. Such a strong like Lieutenant son. Given nothing. David chose this for himself. As he always decides. Yes. A legacy from his mother. Tell me, Jesse. Have you met before? I served in the army at the Battle of Jewish. I was also in Gilgal when Samuel crowned you king. Samuel. Do you know him? I revere him. Many revere him. I do not know him. Could you have imagined that one day your house would join with mine? It's the last thing I would have imagined. It is not much of a monument, but it is all that I have. Oh, Jesse, please. It is I who should be gifting you. Other. Do not want anything. Old man, son, I have never been indebted to the throne. I have no wish to change that. You have an unusual way of accepting gratitude. Gratitude. I have lost a son in your service. Now I am losing another. A future that I never would have chosen for you. This places you back in the hills of Bethlehem, my home. I lose my sons. I will miss them. Come, Father. This is a celebration. Mark it as one. Yes. Come.
Red. I want all the pillows red. Everything must be red. Go ahead, kindergarten.
Very impressive. I'm looking for my father. Seems you're the one to ask.
You think you'll find him this time?
Eto will send 20 wagons of grain before we're done. 20 more by Scott. That and a small tithe from the tribes who see through the winter. Are willing to have 13,000. All things are possible to hope. King of Edom would not offer this if there was not something in it for him. Good. When he does, I leave to you. But the king intends to travel here shortly to discuss. But you were right. He is bitter. But he is also wise enough to recognize that we are much more powerful. That he needs new alliances. He seemed eager to move on from old allegiances. I have underestimated myself.
I don't think it's a bit heavy. No, I think it's nice. May I have my moment with my sister? Of course. What do you want? How long have we talked about this day? We dreamed about it with Mother for years. I couldn't miss it. And I cannot let you wear that monstrosity. Have it. It's awful. I knew it wasn't right. Go with gold. You always wear gold. Mother should be here. She should. But since she is not, I will. There has been enough suffering in this family lately. And she would probably want you to have this. That you know that she is always. It's beautiful. Thank you. But what are we going to do about the twins?
king, I have come into your house that you may give me the daughter your son as my wife. And may the Lord make this union like Rachel and Leah, who together built the family of our nation. They will be established in Gibeah, and famous in Bethlehem, and all the trinkets of Israel. And may our children profess the words of this kingdom, and their love to Adonai for all eternity.
To my beautiful daughter, Michal, and my new son, the Giant Slayer.
He will be my wife for all the time God has blessed us together. Princess Michal, David, it is a beautiful ceremony.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. What will we do with all of this?
I think we will receive far more than this in the world. Thank you.
I'll be right back. Father, why must you leave so early?
Proudly have witnessed your marriage, son. Now I must return to my office.
Thank you for coming all this way.
Seems your mother was right. King exists. The words I never imagined together. But how will you be different? I think we both know how to say remember someone. How I remember you. I will pray for you, son. God above all else loves you. I love you, son. I love you, Father. Do not let this disrupt your day.
Okay, Father, let's go. I'm giving permission to you.
Stop
complaining further. Just enjoy the comfort.
David, Papa.
That was cool.
Listen. David, you have exalted the tribe of Judah. For this, I bless you.
What is it you want, Adrian?
Come now. I'm here to celebrate your rise and remind you who cleared the path along the way.
God clears my path.
Yes, but God gives you friends as well, does he not? And if you want to achieve your ambitions, then you need them.
Do you know what you did? My family grieved Tovia and his king. They were innocent.
Do you know what it lay to his heart and his family eating the baby? Huh? Your own brother, Eliab. So tell me, is he innocent about you? Oh, David, there is much you do not know. My little shepherd boy. And nothing escapes my
also know that there is nothing for us to talk about. Enjoy your wedding day, brother.
Congratulations on your sister's special day.
Thank you, Ed.
Although, let's be honest, this woman cannot be helpful to you, huh?
Why is that?
Well, David is just one more obstacle between you and the throne.
Oh, I was never destined for the throne. You're speaking to the wrong one.
Arne, calm as well. I know how a man like you thinks. I see you for who you are.
What do you see?
Ambition, fierceness, all of the makings of a king. If only there was someone who could help clear those obstacles,
I no longer drink wine.
trust me, you will want to drink when you hear this. I've been holding a secret, a truth. David is not the dog who he says he is. Come.
Father, I need to tell you a story about an outcast from a nearby tribe. A bastard of his family. Ashamed of his people. Cursed to his father's name. This outcast joined your household. Comforted you with his music. Married your daughter, and yet he never told you the truth. That the prophet Samuel journeyed to his home. Which is why his curse was passed on. All along, he was the cause of the very torment from which he was meant to comfort you. We have been deceived. You killed the wrong son of Judah. Think of it, Father. He slayed the giant. God has favored him back time after time, as he once favored you. The traitor you seek has been here in your house the whole time, right in front of you. Yet I'm the one. It's David. You know, it's so important that you just told me about it.
You don't know who in the past we can trust.
What do you mean?
Today, in the interpret this man with a badge of honor. It was the same man who killed my father.
How can you be sure?
Because I followed him.
What?
Hashbal, he was making me to leave. I told you I had a bad feeling about that man. What if the attack on our convoy wasn't just bandits? What if it was planned? And then someone here in the palace is...
A conspiracy.
We have to go to the king now.
No. My father is dead. Off balance lately, this money still gets involved. And you never believe that you will do it, not without proof.
I have proof. Here. Read it. Sarah's one by my Philistines and one Hexaplant.
You must leave this with me, so give it to you.
Hashbal, they murdered my father.
Stop.
Why? No, I won't let this rest. I can't. What? What is it?
murdered your wife. You murdered Dina.
No. You didn't wash yourself.
Ishmael, I don't know who you are. I don't know anything. I need to phone Mother. I need to go. I need to
Stop. Listen to me for a moment. Maybe you ask me where that's gone. I'll tell you. Here, my iPhone. End it. Life that I knew. End it. From the wreckage of that pitiful boy, I emerged with a purpose, and I will do whatever I must to see it through.
Listen. You burned down the great heavens.
Yes.
You had me little crown. You tore her father apart. You pushed me to marry David. Why? Which bar to attend?
Better future. For all of us.
You've lost your mind. You've lost your
No. I have finally found it. My father is wicked and corrupt. You see it.
You're hurting me.
His kingdom is rotting under me. If we do not act, if I do not act, we will lose everything. You saw what happened to Mother. I did not want that for you. Or for your heart.
Don't you touch me.
I'm going to build something new, something so much better. But no one can know what you saw today. Do you understand?
Are you threatening me?
Yes. Tina stumbled into something bigger than her. I had no choice. But you are my sister. The other half of my soul. Not the only one who want my punishment. I want from Arne, not this family. And I need you. More than ever. By my side. It is the only way. Yes. She's very hard. We heard the scream near the foot of the western gates.
So sorry.
This is a man striking against us. What reason could anyone possibly have to kill Dina? Threat? The princess could be killed within the castle walls. He walked past the guards. Killed her unseen. No. Someone in this palace is responsible.
No one is responsible. Dina had been confiding in me. She pretended to be strong, but the death of her father affected her more than anyone. She often spoke about ending her life.
She never told me this.
She was afraid. She couldn't live her in her weakness, but nobody could. I am so sorry, Alec. Nothing you could ever.
Apologies, my prince. The king calls for you. He needs to hear you play.
Now? Is him well?
I'm sure you'll be fine. I've lived. The troubles of many things that trouble the king. I'm sure seeing you will remedy them. It is you, isn't it?
Okay.
I loved you, trusted you, and still you betrayed me.
My king, I am loyal to you. I always have been.
Loyal. For you. No more deception. Speak the truth. Did someone choose you?
My king, please just sit down.
Did he choose you? Did he? Did someone choose you?
No. God chose me.
ターが外れていた。どんなに努力を重ねても生物の成長には制限が設けられている。
Or so.
There's a bit more movement from Spurs. I think that naturally then increases the intensity. The players are moving and wanting to get on the ball, but yeah, I think they need a bit more urgency. They are 1-0 down. They need to get back into this game sooner rather than later. Just a bit more urgency and movement from them is definitely required at the minute.
Just speaking with his coaches on the sidelines there. To change it just yet. I know that at some stage might have to tweak the tactics and maybe introduce two Spurs supporters who have made the short trip here in their eyes as they look into the sun. Turn it around. Was being impeded there, but it doesn't go London City Lionesses' way.
Playing against Nikita, she's never scared to shout for a foul, so I think that was the instance there, but Hogan's done well there just to get inside of her and defensive Paris.
She's very busy, isn't she? She closes down, she does an awful lot of work off the ball, still dominating positions. This time, Paris think he's going to fall foul of the ball and a yellow card as well.
Track on that, I think the referee really rushed on that decision based on Drew Spencer's reaction. Didn't look too bad from what I could see, but Drew's done well there to avert that and get Nikita in the book. I don't know, from my point of view, not sure there was too much in it there. Maybe this Drew's done well there to get her in the book, I think.
She did sort of land on the Spurs player. I'm not sure if it was intentional. She was taken off, I think, the second half. She's into the book nonetheless. It's comfortably collected by Arne.
Disappointed with that delivery. You've got Hollis forward, Claire Hunt and Poga getting forward, and disappointing delivery that just ran straight into the goalkeeper's hands. And every time they get set piece, they need to be willing to try and make the most of that and focus on the quality of delivery there.
Slimy. This is Paris. Everyone has made a positive move. Paris wants it back. Can she hold it up? It's just behind Paris, and Spurs should clear. Neville. Between the packs in the Cup back in January 2023. Success for Spurs. Score sheet that day. So it was on the Spurs that day.
Definitely wasn't on the score sheet there, let me tell you that much.
Two Cup games, the last two fixtures that Spurs have played against London City Lionesses, but London City Lionesses are a very different animal now, that is for sure. Paris breaking forward on the left hand side, looking to just about keep this one in play. She does well. Brings a throw. The other way. Decisions in there.
She has has every right to shout at the ref and appeal for that one. I think Ash Neville's done really well here to get back and stop the play in the end. The last touch was off Ash Neville, so no surprise there that the keeper's shocked at that decision.
Spurs win it back. Forward with minutes here for once. To just thread it through, unable to get there. It will be a throw in here for Tottenham.
Nice play there initially from Holt, managed to squeeze herself out of a difficult situation. She really does bring that quality. I was talking to people earlier, she's a real key player for Tottenham. She has that ability to unlock chances for teams. Showing back the final ball there, but yeah, real danger for Spurs. But they need to try and get her on the ball as much as they can.
Just yet, it's due to 3-2, 1-1. So many clear-cut opportunities between these two in 28 minutes. It's Paris to flicking forwards between Spurs defenders. Player back, touch the contact. Again. Comes the London City Lioness press. To turn away. She showed really good physicality and pace. Still coming away. And the Japanese player will not be dispossessed, and then is curled inside the box. Eventually, flicked up into the air. And the Spurs able to create a clear-cut opportunity there, but a really good run.
Excellent run there from Holt, doing exactly what we were just talking about. And I like the fact she didn't just go down. There are a lot of players in this day and age who just go down and win the foul, but she wanted to carry on and drive and try and create an opportunity herself. Real shame she was able to get shot off at the end of all that hard work, but yeah, real good play there from Holt.
She was good at all the goals we saw there. She's got double goals this season to be herself, so netted in the League Cup this season.
Scores good goals from distance as well, so you can see, look, yeah, really doing well to hold up for the guy there and just get a body across and make it difficult for him to try and win the ball. But off balance, Pucci might have been able to get a shot off there, but Sangari done enough just to put her off, and she will be coming to an end for after such a promising run.
International. Nations League fixture against Finland. Neville. So again, it shows this really forward is Liverpool. It's not too much of Aslani.
Moving the run so far, I think she's done well defensively, but skipped past Ash Neville a couple of times as Ash has come to close her down. Trying to play those balls.
Her dad, her uncle, bro, they were not rude to people for no fucking reason. So it's not just a Bayesian thing.
It's online, bro. It's online stuff.
You'll be rude as in like a nicer way. It's not actually rude, is it? It's just their banter is a bit.
Nah, bro, it's youngest that don't touch us.
You know what? I can't believe you're talking about online stuff.
If this is perfect for you, we're talking about Arsenal, and you love it when Arsenal got played. So what have you got to say on them flipping up the Sunday yesterday? Is it a little crash course? I told people. Dean, remember in our prediction show, I said it's going to be a real tough game. They could match Arsenal physically, and everyone started laughing like D and Hooks. Like,
We didn't laugh.
D and Hooks were physically, we're the most physical team. We got 6 foot in every position. And I was like, bro, being tall don't mean nothing. Sunderland come from the championship. These players know that the way they win their games is by winning draws. These teams at the bottom, they don't want to be better than you. They want to show you. All of us have been in a dressing room, on a Sunday. What they say, the manager tells you, go out there and show me you want it more than the other team. That's the Sunderland team too. Go out there and show me you want it more, and you saw it throughout the game. Sunderland were backbone in their players. They were ragdolling their players. They were
They moved
throwing
like
them around.
Newcastle last season. Now Newcastle was getting a bully boy.
Bully man, and they knew that was the way to beat Arsenal. You just start bullying some of their players. And Arsenal aren't a team that they weren't getting rattled by it, but it was throwing them off because they couldn't play their football. Now they've got another team doing the same thing that they do to them. They're doing the long ball. They're getting their goalkeeper to take any free kick that's near the halfway line or even in their half, launch it forward, and then just, our centre back's going to get an elbow into you. Then we're going to make it tough. And we saw early in the game, Moreno held one. He was down for however long. And then you saw later on in the game, he was, I know, funny enough, after the game, man said their fans were getting ragdolled. Shout out to Ty, but my man was getting pushed up outside the stadium. It's just Arsenal were getting bullied yesterday. That's exactly what it was. Don't get me wrong. Most of us thought Arsenal might win the game, but they'll get through it with just their
But this is the thing. When you go, like Dean was saying, when you go 2-1 up, 76 minutes, like, the way Arsenal kept 8 clean sheets in a row, conceded one before it happened.
I don't think
but they should get, that's what I'm saying. There's no excuses for 75th minute.
I don't think that's the right narrative to paint. You have to understand, let's be real, man. It's a hostile environment, so away from home. Sunderland, yes, you are top of the league, but Sunderland's been very good this season. Let's not act like they're 10th or 12th place team. They're third or fourth in the league.
I hear what? If Arsenal won the game, what they saying? We funked it out.
Yeah, we funked it out, but they couldn't. They tried to fug it out, and they couldn't because the other team showed them that goal from Robbery was just
the first goal, if that's Caicedo, see, I'm not trying to get comparison. But you see the way Declan Rice didn't look quick enough for that. Bro, it's peak, man. It's peak still. You look at Arsenal's next fixtures as well. They've got Bayern in there, they've got Chelsea in there. Big games coming up for Arsenal, man, honestly speaking.
I still think Arsenal go ahead and they do their thing. I don't think this is a blip. I just think it's a little blip. They'll get back to their normal stuff, score set pieces, be strong, be defensive. They're good at everything. This was just a one-off.
PTSD.
They got George in the team left hand.
Yeah, no, the PTSD is not kicking. If when Daps came on here and Daps was saying Arsenal this, I don't want to hear that. Because I live in North London, bro. I can't let Arsenal in the league. You see today, City need to win. It's when they win, Arsenal fans are going to crumble. I'm telling you, bro. See, I've been behind them for so many times and they've like overcome them at the end of the season. So it's going to be a big one.
You know why they deserve this though? Because Daps, remember the attitude Dak had on Friday. We're going to win all these games. We're not worried. We've already won these games. The way Arsenal fans act, pretty done. Like they talk like they've already won the league. That these games are easy. They're league's just they're going to steamroll the league now.
I messaged Dan and asked him how that 100 points is coming on. Yeah, he said, we'll probably get 90.
That's mad.
But yeah, it makes it interesting. I think, like, guys, just quickly, smash the likes, by the way, 650 if you're in the building. Make sure you run the likes. We need to get to 150 to 200. Where it doesn't roll, like the video helps us to audiences, gets us on our way to 50k. Also, check out Free Like Diary. You've got Hands in the building. You've got Dean for Fans on TV, so make sure you go show love. And then obviously Thai Sports Talk, we on the South Stand. And then obviously Cass Central as well for Cass's content. We've a big show tonight. So just get your likes in, support the show. And like I said, people, there are no Arsenal representatives today. We did try and get some. They didn't want to come on for the Sunday grind, so they're playing their regular music right now. But today's game, this is what I'm excited about. We've got Dean and Dax down below because Jack drawn yesterday. Even me as a neutral, I said to my brethren, I can't wait for this game tomorrow. Man City Liverpool always is a good game for me. I don't feel like you get teams that. Some people might say last season it wasn't. Yeah, no, forget last. That was normally. I'm forgetting that. Yeah, you was on your fifth and all that. Liverpool flag. But this year, both of you not top of the league, both of you chasing after Arsenal dropping points. Yeah, man. I think today both teams need to win. Really, team. That result yesterday made it even more like. Yeah, like. You know what I'm saying? Even more important. You've got to anyone right. To anyone that.
morning, beautiful people. It's a brand new day on Jazuri, your favorite space for good conversation, trending stories, and those thought-provoking moments that make you pause and say, wait, what just happened? It's Friday. And many of you know, Fridays on Jazuri have their special sparkle. This weekend,
Unbelievable series of circumstances has led us here. The most dominant Ring of Honor Women's Champion of all time versus the most dominant combat sports athlete ever.
This tag team match is super one ball. Team number one, the team of Billy Starks. And the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, the Fallen Goddess, Athena.
Athena, who remains undefeated in single competition in Ring of Honor, won the Ring of Honor Women's World title last year in Final Battle, approaching the 1-year mark. Made history, becoming not only the first woman to main event a Ring of Honor pay-per-view as world champion, but also to win a main event as Ring of Honor World Champion. And here at the Kia Forum, is accompanied by her #1 minion, Billy Starks, who is singing a darker side as of late. Billy Starks has definitely been rubbed on about the champion, but better friends as they depart. Marina Shafir has been on a roll as of late here in Ring of Honor. She has indeed been the problem, picking up victory after victory. Marina Shafir, it was at Pro Wrestling Revolver, teammate with longtime friend, training partner, sparring partner. This woman, who was unbelievably making her Ring of Honor debut right here in the fabulous LA Forum. The greatest female combat fighter of all time has come where honor lives.
Your partner, the baddest woman on the planet, Ronda Rousey.
Tell you what, we're combining. We're not making phone calls. I got some cold paper, but nobody's cold as Ronda Rousey. And maybe no one as bad. Whether it is the inaugural woman inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame, whether it is the 3 internationally recognized wrestling world championships that she's held, hosting Saturday Night Live, starring in major Hollywood motion pictures, Ronda Rousey has done it all, but she is not satisfied, she is not content. She has come to Ring of Honor, seeking the hand of the most dominant Ring of Honor Women's World Champion we've ever seen. My God, Ring of Honor, when you call out the best in the world, Ronda Rousey has to be on that list. And for years was the scariest woman on the planet. And now the scariest woman, the most dominant athlete in the world, is in the House of Honor. And I'm not sure who Athena expected. The crowd is shocked. I think we all thought, I think we were all hoping that one day Ronda Rousey would be at the side of her best friend Marina Shafir here in Ring of Honor. I don't know if anybody knew it would come so soon, especially here in the fabulous Kia Forum. Whoa, hey look, and we're gonna start things off. You know what? It's so good to see Ronda Rousey back this time of the year, Rick and Bonnie. This could be some final battle type stuff. Could you even imagine? Look at that! Textbook judo throws, holding on to wrist control until Ronda Rousey lets go. Billy Starks already in the wrong corner, Rick and Bonnie. Bronze medal in the 2008 Olympic Games, the most accomplished female judoka of all time, and it comes from Marina Shafir. One of Rousey's longtime training partners, personal best friend. And those kicks, inside leg hook. 1 count there. Tell you what, there's something that Shafir and Rousey bring to the ring that no other women in Ring of Honor bring to the year. That's that combat style wrestling that's really hard to prepare for because both of these athletes come from mixed martial arts and the other athletes come from wrestling first. But Ronda Rousey has done it all. And Athena knows it. That's
Go
why she
fight.
puts it the #1 minion in the world. And are to the match, and Shafir hit it right to it. Got it, Billy the back suplex, stayed in control. Oh, nice cover there. Yeah, Marina Shafir. Gory special in to those code-breaking knees, too. And Rousey able to break things up. Rousey able to break things up. Billy starts wrestling a perfect match here. Shafir, crossbody. Oh! And Athena may have had Rousey pinned. We will never know for sure. Well, Athena realizes she's not the legal person in the ring with the body. Billy Starks sees it. Billy Starks. Oh, no, slide dive. Double wrist lock. Shafir has Athena trapped. Billy Starks is by herself. Billy Starks dead center. Billy Starks getting ready to tap. Readjustment by Rousey with the body.
So we got some exciting news for SmackDown this week. A lot of upsets, and honestly, way better than expected. And I'll be honest with you, definitely took me by surprise. So let's get straight to it. Kyrie saying, "Holy crap." Man, let's talk about this one. This was so funny. So Charlotte and Alexa basically lost their match with Nia Jax because he wasn't in touch with Lash Legend and all that stuff. But the funny part was when Kyrie and Asuka went in as a doctor and a nurse and fucking went on full on Joker, basically, as Joker did somewhere. And then basically sprayed it with the fucking mist. And it was so fucking good because they're just like, ah, shit. So I'm so ready for the memes for this. So let's see, like, what, oh my god, so the memes are already there. So I'm excited what Asuka's going to post because she's been posting some pretty funny memes. So they lost the match, but again, I think this is I guess a push for the Kabuki Warriors.
You're married, aren't you?
See.
Because Mom would never say anything about your spouse there. You're almost married. So you're married. And cheating.
Hello. Good afternoon. And I am sorry. And I don't reach us. Okay, now let me there so they go beach. You there here? What are they go do for beach? You want to go? Okay, work out today. I know they work out. Not because people they do. No. No.